Hi everyone, thank you for joining me to stitch up this beautiful Dragonfly wood embroidery kit. There is a stitching order for this kit that will make the embroidery process more enjoyable. We will first work on elements that require weaving techniques. Stitching these elements can become difficult when there are surrounding stitches. Make sure to stitch up a chunky knot at the end of your thread. Now stitch up the 3 straight stitches for each rose. Now that the spokes are done, we can start weaving. Come up through one of the holes of the straight stitches and start weaving by going over and under each straight stitch. I like my roses to be just large enough to cover up the spoke holes. But once you're happy with the size of your roses, go ahead and go back down one of the holes from the straight stitches. These little rosebuds are still missing their French knot centers, but I like to do all my knots at the end, especially for a piece like this one that has a lot of them. I like to get into the flow of just doing knots, but that's just me. You could do the knots whenever you like. We are moving on to the body of the dragonfly. We need to start at the very bottom and do a single straight stitch. We will be anchoring our first chain stitch to the straight stitch. Now go up from the back through hole 3 and go below that straight stitch and back down hole 3. This creates your first chain link. To make the rest of the chain links, go up from the back through the next hole. Go below the previous chain link, then back down your starting hole. Continue this pattern until you're done stitching all of 11 chain links. For the upper body, start by stitching 2 straight stitches. Then work on the center line and back stitch. To finish the shape, we will need to double up our thread. Go up through one of the side holes, go below the back stitch, then back down the opposite side hole. This is creating a Y stitch or fly stitch effect. The body of the dragonfly is probably my favorite part of this piece. Really simple stitches shape the body so well. Now let's work on all the gold elements. Floral halo. For each gold halo part, start with stitching the small straight stitches. Then create the arc using stem stitch technique. Go up from the back through the large hole, skip hole number 2 and go back down hole number 3. Come back up hole number 4, then back down hole number 2. Make sure you go below the previous stitch to create a smooth curve. For stem stitch, you are essentially connecting even holes together and odd holes together. I hope that makes sense. To create the petals, start by going up through the center hole on top of the large hole. Go under your gold straight stitch and back down the starting hole. For every petal, you need to secure your thread to any surrounding stitches before moving on to the next petal. Otherwise, you will undo all the previous stitches since you are exiting through the same hole. Okay, let's work on all the greenery. Most of it consists of stem stitch, back stitch, and straight stitches. But I want to share how I made the little petal fern. Go up through the large hole and back down the same hole, leaving a loop behind. Go up through its pertaining hole and through the loop, and back down the same hole. As you pull, make sure you pull slowly. The loop will get smaller, creating the petal shape. We are getting close. Let's work on the wings. First, complete the inside of the wings by using a stem stitch. Then work on the outside of the wing. Just like the body of the dragonfly, we first need to create our first anchoring stitch for the chain stitches. There's a total of 9 chain links. To combine the chain stitches with stem stitch, start your stem stitches from hole 10 and complete the rest of the outer shape using stem stitch. Adorable little yellow flowers, we'll be using 12 strands of thread. Loosely stitch the petals using straight stitches. And now that most of our shapes are complete, we could go ahead and work on all the French knots. To start, come up through one of the holes. Wrap your thread around the needle 2 to 3 times depending on what part of the kit you're working on. Go back through the same central hole. To avoid tangling, hold on to the thread on the left. As you pull the thread through the back side, place your finger in the loop that's forming. As you pull on the back side, also gently pull on the top side, creating a French knot.